Hello, good afternoon. This is BBC Newsroom Live. Our latest headlines. The Home Secretary has said the system for allowing EU nationals to stay in the UK after Brexit will be as simple as can reasonably be expected. The Trade Minister Greg Hands resigns from the government over plans for a third runway at Heathrow. The brutal murder of an Iraqi asylum seeker motivated by racism was entirely avoidable, a report says. Calls for doctors to be held to account from the relatives of those whose lives were shortened at Gosport War Memorial Hospital. Let's get more now on our top story. The Home Secretary, Sajid Javid, has said the system for allowing EU nationals to stay in the UK after Brexit will be as simple as can reasonably be expected. We'll be hearing more details being given to MPs shortly. And let's discuss this, first of all, though, with two people who are keen to hear more detail about the UK's plans. With me here in the studio is Nicholas Hatton of the 3Million group, which campaigns on behalf of EU citizens in the UK. And I'm also joined from Berlin by Jane Golding from British in Europe, a campaign group working on behalf of UK citizens living in the EU. And a very warm welcome to both of you. Nicholas, I'll begin with you. I mean, I know you've just looked over the brief details of what the government has announced so far, but do you feel less like a bargaining chip now, because you previously said that's what you felt like?
I think it's very welcome that we have more certainty about the rules. And I think that people have been waiting for 2 years, so there's lots of anxiety. So we're going to know what will be the condition for us to stay. It will be very real when people can start to apply, and we're being told it's going to be in autumn. And I'd like to say it's been 2 years, it's been too long, so people are really anxious and worried. So it's going to take a bit more than just a statement to reassure people. Sajid
Javid saying there would have to be a very good reason not to grant status, you know, and certainly in the case of someone who's been here for more than 5 years, for example, a serious criminal conviction or providing false information about one's identity. So does that offer you reassurance? Is that almost as good as a guarantee for you?
Almost as good, but we got to remember there are 3.6 million EU citizens in the country. It's not going to be easy to make them apply, because it's not a registration, it's an application. So there will be worries that people will need to fill forms that they might not be able to because it's digital. There'll be worries that trusting the Home Office is the heart of this, and the Windrush and the issues with the rejections of permanent residence applications, about 30%, means that EU citizens are a bit wary of the Home Office. So I think this all will take some time and effort before it's actually finalised.
So trust in the Home Office at the heart of this for you. We'll come back in a little bit more detail on that in a moment, Nicholas, but let me bring in Jane now. Jane, hello to you as well. Jane Golding, Chair of British in Europe. I know that you felt that all of this information is coming through quite late in the day in terms of what you as a UK citizen living in the EU needs to know. From the detail that you've seen so far, what do you make of what the government is saying? Clearly the government is saying that other EU countries haven't given it enough detail on what your rights will be.
Well, obviously we welcome the fact that the government is putting this back on the table and that they are supporting our rights and asking the EU 27 to give them detail on the procedures that will apply. That registration procedures are very important to us. But at the same time, we have to make clear that there are actually registration systems already in the EU 27. So in this case, it's really a question of how will those be extended and tweaked to apply to us? And that's the question that the government should really be asking at this stage.
Yes, you think that the government is asking the wrong questions of EU counterparts, don't you?
Yeah, I think we do, because, as I say, apart from perhaps in France, in all other EU 27 countries, there are registration systems. And what we want is the existing system to just be simply tweaked and extended to us. We don't want a new system to be applied. And that option only became available in the December agreement. And really, that's what we want the UK to be pushing for, that we keep the existing system. And if they're really serious about their rights, our rights, we would also urge Theresa May to put continuing free movement for us back on the table, because that is critical to our members.
OK, Jane, I'll come back to you in a moment, but first of all, back to Nicholas, and picking up on that thought of trust in the Home Office being crucial for you, talking about, Windrush and about administrative problems. Now, we've heard from Sajid Javid already that the scheme will operate online and via a smartphone app, but we've also heard that there are issues for anyone who has an Apple iPhone, and that the government is trying to sort this out with Apple. Currently, someone with an Apple iPhone wouldn't be able to use their smartphone to actually use this app. So is that already a bit of a red flag for you in terms of that there might be administrative problems with this scheme?
Well, recently we've seen what happened with universal credit and the rollout of that huge bureaucratic reform. The worry is that the intention is there. They want people to be able to apply easily, but the system might fail it. If that happens, what's going to happen to those that can't register before 2021? And the question is, the hostile environment is basically biting you citizens already now, and it means that if you're not documented, you can't open a bank account, you can't get employed, you can't get a flat, for example. So
you're feeling that hostile environment?
Yes, absolutely. And then it could lead to deportation. It's 5,301 EU citizens were deported in 2017. So it's happening already. So the scheme, if it's easy and simple, great. But we want to make sure it's going to work. And if it doesn't work, we want to make sure that we are not the next Windrush.
OK, and not the bargaining chip. And you've still got your badge on, obviously, which I've seen you wear in previous interviews we've done. Just, Jane, a final thought from you on that issue of how you feel with this process continuing. Do you feel differently now as a UK citizen in an EU country? Do you feel any sense of hostility?
Not at all. I mean, I live in Germany. I feel no sense of hostility at all. We've had meetings with the government here. We've had meetings with the Berlin government as well, where they've said to us, we are here. We see our duty to protect German citizens in the UK, but just as much British citizens living here in Germany, and that's
so you don't feel you'll be used as a bargaining chip? Sorry to cut across you. You don't feel you'll be used as a bargaining chip?
I wouldn't say that, because at the level of the negotiations, I think we all feel as if we are bargaining chips. Obviously, once the negotiations started, we were thrown in with all the other issues, and at that point you can't avoid being a bargaining chip. OK, Jane Golding from British in Europe, and also Nicholas Hatton from the 3 Million. Thank you both very much. Thank you.
Now.